So today I want to talk about division and integration. And division occurs when there's part of us that's not in alignment with another part of ourselves. So for example, say I'm a screenwriter and I'm going to write scripts for movies that can really make a difference. And they might be on cutting edge topics. It might be on human situations and drama. It might be on some spiritual type things. And I really have a passion for this. Okay. So when I think about screenwriting, I really light up. It's my sense of purpose. I feel like I'm offering my gift, my natural gift, as I once called it. However, in this example, unfortunately, I have not yet integrated this into my life. So I'm still working at an accounting firm, and sadly, I've gotten distracted by life and other things, and I've kind of lost traction toward unfolding this dream of being a screenwriter. Now I've got some pretty serious division because I'm passionate about one thing, and yet I'm not able to do that in my life. A job at the accounting firm becomes more and more meaningless. I probably start resenting it. This creates a sense of division. It's like part of me feels like I should be doing one thing, and yet I'm doing another. So there's this kind of lack of alignment. There's like a disharmony between different aspects of my life. This also happens quite a bit when we awaken a new spiritual truth or a new spiritual, a new aspect of ourself or a new level of consciousness, and it's not yet integrated into our life. My truth says one thing about the way I am, and then I might even tell myself that I am that way. But then if you look a little closer, my behaviors reflect that I'm really not that way. I'm still kind of behaving according to the way I used to be. And of course, this is a natural part of the change process, right? I mean, it's just because, but what we think, we go to this spiritual retreat, we awaken this new truth, and we tell ourselves, this is what I'm about now, this is how I am now, and we figure that it's just gonna naturally reflect into my life. And of course, I'm sure that we've all experienced that it doesn't always happen that way. It requires some work. In some senses, that's when the work actually begins, is then we need to integrate it, or as some spiritual teachers would say, we need to embody it into our life. So my life is an expression of my newfound awareness. So it's really important that we're aware of this. First of all, we need to look at it and say, whoa, I have some division. I have a lack of harmony in my life. And how can I align these things a little more? Back to our screenwriter example, is like perhaps I can start walking toward my dream of being a screenwriter, which I actually don't have a dream of being a screenwriter, but I do think it would be cool. But I actually start, for my example's sake, I actually start walking toward my dream. And so then maybe I'm doing some screenwriting on the weekends, or in my spare time, I'll start doing more writing, and then I'll start putting it in front of people so I can get feedback on how it is. And then as I start getting closer to that, some of my feedback says, gosh, this is really good work. So now it's starting to come, the division is starting to is decreasing, and I'm getting more aligned and more harmony into my life again, which means my energy can flow, which means I feel like I'm living my life honestly, and so I start being more fulfilled. Okay, I feel like, yeah, I'm doing what I came here to do. I'm in line with my purpose. I'm in line with I can actually go to work, and not at the accounting firm, but I actually go to work and be passionate about what I'm doing, and what I'm doing has meaning, and it actually means something to me. Or with my other example that I was using, I start integrating the thing that I awakened spiritually, perhaps during my retreat or my workshop or my meditation, and I start saying, okay, well, if I'm going to have more unity in my life, or I'm going to have more compassion in my life, then I need to start behaving in my day-to-day life in a way that reflects this this compassion that I experienced during meditation and during my retreat. So how do I actually embody that compassion? How do I actually integrate it into my life? I think it's a really often overlooked part of the spiritual journey. And it's also a challenging part, because I think there's a lot of times we segment our spiritual life with our day-to-day life. And so we're one way when we go to retreat, and then we come home and we're another. And part of that's inevitable, because I am spiritual and I am human, but how can they be just different expressions of the same thing? How can they be more unified and more harmonious? One of the challenges is when I'm not reflecting my sense of purpose or my passion or my new spiritual truth. When it's not reflecting, I kind of feel a lack of authenticity, maybe a lack of honesty, or I might even feel like an imposter, or that I'm doing something wrong. Well, the reality is I just need to breathe life into this new aspect of myself, and I just need to do the work, as they say. And that's often the harder work, as I mentioned earlier. We think that the work is going to retreat, and the work is meditating, and the work is having these spiritual epiphanies, and having the dream of being a screenwriter and having this purpose. And that's the fun part, right? That's the exciting part. And then to actually awaken this and integrate this into our lives is more frustrating, okay? Because now this kind of spiritual concept that has no form, okay, like compassion or screenwriter, or it's this idea and it's a vision and it has no form. It's like, and then when I start bringing that into the three-dimensional world of life here, it can be very frustrating, and it just feels like there's this, like they don't want that. The vision doesn't fit in the 3D world. They don't fit, but they do if we're willing to have the patience and kind of overcome the obstacles and the frustration, and then see how that new awareness or that vision or that sense of purpose, like how does that express itself in my human life? How does my newfound spiritual truth express itself in my relationship? How does my newfound spiritual truth express itself in the way I interact with my family, or the way I walk down the street? Because then it has more meaning. Until then, in a sense, it's just a good idea, and so it's like bringing it into our lives, taking our spiritual truth, taking our passion, taking our sense of purpose, taking our reason for being. Not as sexy, frustrating as hell at times, but ultimately so rewarding, because then I'm actually walking my talk. Then I'm actually aligned. I'm integrated, and the aspects of myself are harmonious. For a little while anyway, which of course is about the time I awaken a new spiritual truth, and then I have some more division, and then I need to integrate that into my life. And since that, hence we go around the medicine wheel, formless into form, formless into form. And so thank you for checking this video out. If you like this video, please subscribe, share it with your friends. I appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have an awesome day.